It's a big event, and we have been making a sincere attempt to make a presentation of 50 themes in 50 weeks. Okay, this week is the 42nd presentation, and this covers anniversary and events from 1990 to 1999. Below is what you see, the Seto Ohashi Bridge. One of the beautiful pictures I always like, because I took this picture. And unfortunately, that day, I told my wife we went to take a picture of this. The lighting of the bridge was switched off on that day, because being a Monday, the lighting is not done. So with whatever available light, with the long exposure, I got this thing done. I always like it, so I thought I'll make it as the first slide for the 1990 to 1999 anniversary and events. Let's look at what is happening. First slide is the 100th anniversary of Japanese Braille system, 1990. Ever since it was developed in 1890, the Japanese Braille system has been widely used and taught in schools for people with special needs. It has been heavily implemented in daily life, including alcohol cans with alcohol written in Braille, and also on the underside of the handrails at train stations to indicate the train's destination. And Japanese Braille system is based on the original Braille script and known as Tenji, literally means dot characters in Japanese. This stamp was released in 1990, November 1st, 36 by 26 millimeter stamp, multicolored with photogravure printing and embossed printing, and 62 ends is the face value of the stamp. Now, 100th anniversary of the modern judiciary system. The judicial system in modern Japan was founded 100 years ago under the terms of the Acts of February 10th, 1890. It will be very interesting to know at this point of time that Japanese are not great fans of settling disputes at a court. Okay, but we have a very good modern judiciary system in Japan. In fact, after the fall of the shogunate, the Bakufu government in 1867, the Meiji government began appointing judges for criminal matters, establishing the French type of professionals of lawyers and public prosecutors in 1872. As you know, when Meiji Restoration took place, Japan borrowed a lot of different systems from different countries, like railways came from England, postal came from England. So if you look at it, this legal system was adopted from French type of professions of lawyer and public prosecutors. In 1875, a Supreme Court of Justice was established, faithfully copied from the French Court of Cassation. Okay, this stamp was released in 1990, again November 1st, 21 by 51 millimeters size, and a commemorative stamp with a comb of 13 by 13 and a quarter, photogravure 62 ends face value. 100th anniversary of the Japanese Diet. Japan's first modern legislature was the Imperial Diet, Teikoku Gikai. Was established by the Meiji Constitution in force from 1889 to 1947. The Meiji Constitution was adopted on February 11, 1889, and the Imperial Diet first met on November 29, 1890, when the document entered into force. So to commemorate the 100 years, this stamp was released on 1990, November 29. It's a multicolored stamp. Again, comb of 12 and a quarter by 13, and it is by offset photography. That stamp was made. Now, the Yoshio Nishina was a Japanese physicist who was called as a founding father of the modern physics research in Japan. Okay, the centenary of him. He led the efforts of Japan to develop an atomic bomb during the World War II. Of course, Japan did not try that, but the Americans did the job earlier. But he's the founding father of modern physics research in Japan, Mr. Yoshino Nishina, December 6, 1890 to January 10, 1951. This stamp was released in 1990, December 6th. Okay, you can see that is the birth centenary that the stamp was released. 28 by 37 millimeters multicolor stamp and printed in photogravure. Then the next stamp is an interesting thing. It is 100th anniversary of the telephone service in Japan. You look at the old type of telephone they had, where they had to have a separate unit for the hearing, another one for the speaking. Telephone service was first introduced in Japan in 1877 when Alexander Graham Bell personally visited Japan a year after his invention to demonstrate his apparatus to the Japanese people. The first telephones were found in government, ministries, and several Tokyo police stations. In 1890, the government created a national corporation, and the improved system was extended to many post offices where private citizens were able to make calls. I mean, we also had the same way. You go to a post office, because at that time in India, we never had mobile phones. I remember my childhood. And then we had to go to the post office and there'll be a call box. You drop the coin. Many times you don't make the connection, the coil also won't come out. We have seen people banging the telephone box so that at least they'll get their coin back. Only in late 1920, the telephones began to appear in middle-class homes in Japan. This stamp was released on 1990, December 14th, and it's printed in photogravure with a face value of 62 yens. Now, the 50th anniversary of telephone commemorative postcard, 1926, with a postage stamp honoring Baron Miyajima Hisoka. Now you can see the commemorative postcard below with the stamp and the cancellation on that stamp. It's a commemorative postcard showing you the telephone equipment at that time. And on the right, you can see the exhibition of the 60th anniversary of the invention of telephone, 1936. This got nothing to do with when telephone was introduced into Japan, because it was introduced at 1 year after Graham Bell came to Japan. Now, the exhibit, on top, you can see the photograph of Graham Bell with the first telephone that he has invented. As a Vice Minister of Communication, the Baron also established Japan's state-owned telephone service in 1890. The first lines were laid between Tokyo and Yokohama. And then the public telephone kiosks began to appear in the street corners by 1900. I always remember my visit to Japan when we used to make international calls in the nights after 11 o'clock from the public phones, because it'll be cheaper. Then we have a telephone card, which we used to introduce. But unfortunately, I don't want to name the country, but people from one particular country, I mean, the Japanese never used to take the telephone cards are very beautifully printed. I mean, we collect telephone cards because the beautiful scenery on each card. These people from this country, they took the card because the telephone will punch holes. They pasted a aluminum foil, and the card can be reused because the system was still not able to detect. And they were selling next to the kiosks and trying to sell these cards to anybody. The interesting part is the Japanese law does not prohibit that guy from selling, but anybody uses the card is liable to be punished. And so the net result is all the public booths were barred from making international calls, and only few booths were permitted for international calls. So it'll be easy for police to come and catch the guy who makes a call from that booth. And you can see this picture. That's how telephone operators in 1910 were in Japan. And The telephone operators were taught. So you all know, okay, when you take the telephone, you say moshi moshi, which they say hello, hello. The Japanese operators were taught to answer with a by now standard opening of moshi moshi, hello, hello, to which the caller would often respond, kameyo, kameyo. The operator would repeat moshi moshi, to which the caller would again repeat kameyo, kameyo. Then both operator and caller would sing together Moshi Moshi Kameyo, the opening lyrics of the popular children's song Usagi to Kame. Usagi to Kame. Rabbit and tortoise. Okay, so that's an interesting thing how this Moshi Moshi came into usage. And then the Japanese at first approached the telephone machine almost as if it was an organic entity. Okay, then the 120th anniversary of the first Japanese stamp. In 1871, Baron Isoka returned to Japan and established the first Japanese postal system on 20th April in the same year. The first stamp issue of Japan was released, okay, which are what you see above on the top, okay, the Dragon series. The design featured a set of four imperforated, because they're all cut along the corners, not perforate, no perforation, in different colors with facing dragons and moon currency, not yen, and reading between in black, 48 millimeter, 48 moons in brown, 100 moons in blue, 200 moons in orange, and 500 moons in blue green. That's a thing. This was the commemorative stamp that is, you see the souvenir sheet, which was released in 1991 for the 120th year, because 1871 was first stamp. So this souvenir sheet was released in 1991, April 19th, 93 by 77 millimeters souvenir sheet, multicolored. So commemorative sheets and perforation 12 and 3/4 by 13, printed photogravure, and it had two 62 and face value stamps on that. Then once again, no, the 100th anniversary of standard datum of leveling. The datum levels change individually from the beginning of the modern surveying and hydrography at the Meiji era. For determining the datum level of water depth at the beginning, mean low water springs was applied. Then nearly lowest low water according to the harmonic analysis was introduced. After new datum level applying, permanent tide stations were equipped. The history of datum level of elevation can be summarized as a standardization throughout Japan. Both histories of datum levels are contrasted to detect common and different points, and you can see a leveling instrument of those days in the picture. And the stamp was released in 1991, May 30th, and that is a stamp with 28 by 37 millimeters commemorative stamp, printed in photogravure, 62 yen's face value. Now, green tea is something that Japanese always love, and green tea is supposed to have a lot of excellent property. And then the 800th anniversary of the introduction of green tea to Japan was commemorated with a stamp that you see on the right-hand side, 62 yen's face value stamp, which was released in 1991, October 31st, 28 by 37 millimeter stamp. Tea, which is deeply rooted in Japanese life, is said to have been introduced from mainland China by mission to Tang during the Nara period, that is AD 710 by 794. The Kyushu region is geographically close to the mainland China and the Korean Peninsula, and has played an important role as the first place where many cultures were introduced to Japan since the ancient times. Komeri cha, pan-fried tea, is a tea-making method that was first introduced to Japan, but its production was only about 0.4% of the total production in Japan. Then we have Okinawa, the southernmost island. After Kyushu, Kyushu is the largest southern island, but beyond that is Okinawa. The 20th anniversary of return of Okinawa to Japan. Okinawa had a kingdom of its own called Ryukyu Kingdom. Then during the war, it went to the American hands. Then Japan claimed it back and is handed over back to Japan. That's the small way to say the history. The Okinawa reversion agreement was an agreement between United States and Japan, in which the United States relinquished in favor of Japan all rights and interests under the Article 3 of the Treaty of San Francisco, which had been obtained as a result of the Pacific War, and thus the return of Okinawa Prefecture to Japanese sovereignty. The document was signed simultaneously in Washington, D.C. and Tokyo on June 17, 1971 by William Rogers on behalf of the United States President Nixon, and Kichi Aichi on behalf of Japanese Prime Minister Eisaku Sato. The document was not ratified in Japan until November 24, 1971 by the Japanese Diet. So the stamp is released on May 15, 1992, 28 by 39 millimeters commemorative stamp, 62 yen face value. Then we have the 100th anniversary of commercial registration system. Japan had its own company registration system, the business registry. If you are registered as a company in Japan, you should submit a copy of the certificate of registered matter. Commercial registration is a system for providing public notice of the names, addresses, and offices of the stock companies, general partnerships, limited partnerships, and limited liability companies. Corporation registration is a system for providing public notice of the existence and status of corporations such as General Incorporated Association, General Incorporated Foundation, Non-Profit Corporation, and Social Welfare Corporation. This tab was released in 1993, July 1st, 28 by 37 millimeter, and with the ordinary gum photograph you printed, and the paper is phosphorescent with a 62 yen face value. Now, Certified Public Tax Accountants Association emblem has been released as an anniversary thing. The professional certified public accounts was legalized in Japan in February 1942 when the Tax Practitioner Act was enacted. So to commemorate the 50th year, this was released in the year 1992, but November 9th, 28 by 37 millimeter, is a face value of 62 Japanese yen, showing the emblem of the Public Tax Accounts Association. And you see there are two stamps for the Declaration of the Human Rights. Is these stamps, and then these stamps are created not by the Postal Department. These two stamps are selected from a competition creating stamp designs for the 45th anniversary of human rights. The first design was Man and Bird by Soichiro Asaba. The second design was Symbols by Armand Cloto Gatilrate. Difficult, sorry. And then there's a third stamp also. There are three stamps. There's the two that you see here. Then we have the 1200th anniversary of Heian-kyo, Kyoto. Heian-kyo, literally peaceful and tranquil capital, was one of the several former names of the city now known as Kyoto. It was the official capital of Japan for over 1,000 years, from 1794 to 1868. With an interruption in 1180 year. In fact, even after the seat of imperial powers moved to Tokyo in 1868, since there is no law which makes Tokyo as the capital, there is a view that Kyoto legally or officially remains the capital even today. In 1994, Kyoto city held various events commemorating the 1200th year anniversary, And you can see the beautiful stamp, 1994, November 8th. This is a painting or on a screen that has been taken and given as a second-hand stamp. Photophosphorescent paper printed in photogravure. It consists of 5 stamps of 80 yen face value. Then you have the Yokuroichi Pool, Shugakuin Imperial Villa. The Shugakuin Imperial Villa is located on the slope of Mount Hiei in the northeastern area of Kyoto City. Emperor Emeritus Gumizuno constructed this villa over 4 years from 1656 to 1659. The gardening method is called Sake, borrowed landscape, which incorporates outside scenery into garden's landscape to provide more three-dimensional effect in view of the garden. You can see the garden is here. The mountain, which is outside this, has been incorporated into this. So you can see the perspective of the stamp, which shows the outside the mountains, the 2 layers of mountains, and all that is a part of the garden. Visitors can enjoy the dramatic panorama of the pond called Yokuroichi, which was formed by damming water, water flowing down the mountain with a view of the whole city of Kyoto below and the western mountains on the far side. Then we have the rock garden of Ryoan Temple, 15 stones on white sand to express the world of Zen. Ryoanji Temple Rock Garden, one of the Kyoto's most famous gardens. So famous, in fact, that the name has become synonymous with the Japanese rock gardens worldwide. With traditional architecture and gardens, Ryoanji is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and must visit for any visitor in Kyoto. Released in 1994, number 8, 26 by 36 millimeter stamp with an 80 yen space value. Then we have again the Fujiwara palace. It is there. I'm sorry. Fujiwara was the first Japanese capital built in a grid pattern in Chinese model, what we call as Jobusei. Okay. The recent investigation has revealed that the city is covered the area approximately 5 kilometers. Okay. The 1300th anniversary of the Fujiwara Palace is what is in these stamps covered, and it revealed the future investigation that the city covered an area of approximately 5 kilometers, much larger than previously thought. Fujiwara-kyo was imperial capital of Japan for 16 years, between 1694 and 1710. It was located in Yamato province, presently Kashihara in Nara prefecture, having been moved from nearby Asuka. However, the name Fujiwara was never used in Nihon Shiki. During those times, it was recorded as Arama Shikyo, and as of 2006, ongoing excavations have revealed construction of the site of Fujiwara-kyo as early as 1682. There are 2 stamps here, and then you can see the stamps are of different value. One is 50 yen face value, another is 80 yen. The stamps are released in 1995, March 28th, and the size is the left-hand side 50 yen stamp is 26 by 36 millimeters, and the one on the right-hand side 26 by 51, and the left-hand side stamp is 50 and face value, right is 80 yen face value. Photophosphorescent paper and with ordinary gum and printed in photogravure. Then Japan Overseas Cooperation Volunteer Service is a system of dispatching Japanese volunteers overseas operated with Japanese International Cooperation Agency, JICA. The program is similar to the US Peace Corps and includes volunteers in a wide range of fields such as agriculture, forestry, fisheries, education, health, and more than 120 technical fields. More than 30,000 volunteers have been dispatched to more than 80 countries. The recruitment is held in April to May and October to November every year. Japanese citizens aged between 20 to 39 are eligible for the application. It is commonly known by the acronym JOCV, Japan Overseas Cooperation Volunteer Service. Okay, this is a stamp that you see, and a Japanese volunteer is trying to help. I think there's a Bangladesh stamp that they're trying to help them with some education program there. 1995, April 20th, and the 80th face value. Then the next one you see, and the 50th anniversary end of the Second World War. Okay, on May 8, 1945, World War II in Europe came to an end. As the news of Germany's surrender reached the rest of the world, joyous crowds gathered to celebrate on the streets. Newspaper declared this victory in Europe as VE Day. Later that year, US President Harry Truman announced Japan's surrender and the end of World War II. The news spread quickly and celebrations erupted across the United States. On September 2, 1945, formal surrender documents were signed aboard the USS Missouri, designating the day as the official Victory over Japan Day, VJ Day. A stamp designated by a contest winner, Yuki Ogawa, is what you see there on a peace dog. People are there on that dog. Released on 1995, August 1st, 28 by 37 millimeters size stamp and 50th face value. Now, to commemorate the World War, whether VE Day or VJ Day, the Japan Post released 3 stamps selected from entries from public people, one of which is presented in the previous slide, that what you saw. This is for your memory, this is the previous slide, which you saw. And the other 2 are presented here under the heading Atomic Bomb Dome, Hiroshima. That is the one that you see on the left-hand side, ATN stamp by Nobuya Nagata, and the Light of Peace, Nobuo Tsunenaga, the size of 28 by 37 millimeters and face value of ATN. They were all released on 1995, August 1st, and you can see both the stamps here. Now, 50th anniversary of the UNO and UNESCO. 1945, 50 years ago, the reasons for the League's failure to prevent war should be learned, and the leaders set out to study the scene and shortcomings of the past, and the need for a new charter was felt. The United Nations Charter provided a better framework than the League's covenant, both in its general statements of principle and in its procedure in the area of international security. The new charter was ratified on 24th day of October 1945, and UNO was born. So to commemorate that, and 1995 October 24th, this stamp was released, 28 by 37 millimeters with a comb of 13 by 13 and a half, 80th stamp. Then the UNESCO, United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, soon after World War II in November 1945, the United Nations Conference for the Establishment of an Educational and Cultural Organization was convened in London with representatives from 44 countries. Initiated by France and the United Kingdom, the delegates decided to create an organization that would embody a genuine culture of peace. At the end of the conference, the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization was founded, and the Constitution of UNESCO, signed on 16th November 1945, came into force on 4th November 1946. The stamp was also released on 1995, October 24th, 28 by 37, 80 millimeters face value. Then, Philip Franz Balthasar von Siebold was a German physician, botanist, and traveler. He achieved prominence by his studies of Japanese flora and fauna and the introduction of Western medicine in Japan. He lived with a Japanese thing, and he was the father of his first, the first female Japanese doctor educated in Western medicine, called as Kusumoto Ine. Okay, that's a picture of this Philippe, France, 1996, February 16th. This stamp was released with a face value of 80, and other details are given there. Then, Labor Relations Commission. This stamp has been released to commemorate the 50th anniversary of Labor Relations Commission. Labor Relations Commissions called Rodo Linkai are the Japanese government commissions responsible for protecting the legal rights of workers under the Constitution of Japan and the Trade Union Act. Labor Relations Commissions, LRC, were established on March 1st, 1946. Therefore, this stamp was released on March 1st, 1996 to commemorate the 50th year, with the objective of setting labor disputes and deciding unfair labor practice cases. Uh, 50th anniversary of UNICEF. UNICEF is the United Nations Children's Fund. A special issue was released by 1996 by UNICEF of the State of the World's Children's marks the 50th anniversary of the year of UNICEF. As such, it aims to fulfill three purposes. First, to prevent and alienate the suffering of children in the armed conflict. Now, plenty of that is happening around Europe. Second, it reviews the efforts of UNICEF in its first half century to cope up with children suffering not only in conflict, but also in silent emergencies of poverty and preventable diseases, which is happening mostly in Africa, where their own internal fights that are there. Poverty has been, as a result of this, continuous wars that are taking place. Third, it retains annual presentation of carefully assembled statistical data for comparative studies. You see this beautiful picture, and then which was released 1996, May 1st, 28 by 37 millimeters multicolor stamp, and the face value 80 yens. And we have this stamp, 50th anniversary of the Supreme Court at apex of the Japanese legal system is the current constitution of the Japan. Is promulgated on November 3rd, 1946, came into force on May 3rd, 1947. Three articles are particularly important about the judicial system. The article on legislative powers provided by the Diet as the sole lawmaking organ of the state. The article on executive power provides that this authority is vested on the cabinet. And the article on judicial power provides that the whole judicial power is vested in the Supreme Court and in such lower courts as established by law. In doing this, Supreme Court has been equipped with the power of judicial review. The stamp was released in 1997, May 2nd, 28 by 39 millimeters, photography printed, and 80 in space value. Then 400th year of Okayama Castle. Okayama Castle is Okayama Prefecture, is in Okayama Prefecture in Japan. The main tower was completed in 1597, and it was destroyed in 1945 and replicated in concrete in 1966. Two of the watchtowers survived the bombing in 1945 and are now listed by the National Agency for Cultural Affairs as important cultural properties. The stark contrast to the white Egret Castle in Himeji, Okayama Castle has got a black exterior, earning the nickname Crow Castle or the Castle of the Blackbird. Of course, there is one more castle called, that's also Crow Castle in the northern side of Japan. Then 100th anniversary of Kyoto University. Founded as a Kyoto Imperial University and College of Science and Engineering, established in the year 1897. Later, 1899, College of Law and Medicine and Library and Hospital were established. In 1914, College of Science and Engineering was separated into College of Engineering and the College of Science. 1925, the clock tower was completed, is what you see here on the stamp. In 1997, the centenary was celebrated. Therefore, the stamp was released in 1997, showing the clock tower of the Kyoto University. And this was released on June 18th. Then the 50th anniversary of Japan Fire Service, was 1998. Japan first fire service was founded in 1629. Of course, you can see this got nothing to do with the 50th anniversary of fire service. But what we talk about is later when the Meiji government took over, the first Japan fire service founded in 1629 during the Edo period is called Ikeshi, that is fire eraser. During the Meiji period, the Ikeshi was merged into Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department in 1881. During this time period, pumps were imported and domestically produced, and modern firefighting strategies were introduced. The fire service would remain part of the police department until 1948, when the Tokyo Fire Department was organized. Therefore, this 50th year was celebrated based on that the Tokyo Fire Department was organized in 1948. Therefore, this is the 50th year, 1998, March 6, 56 by 39 millimeter Saturn and pair was released as a commemorative stamp showing the firemen of those departments and the modern fire service equipment also. Then, World Puppetry Festival of 1998. In 1979, the first puppetry carnival in Lida was held, and it marks the 20th anniversary in 1998. To commemorate the occasion, the World Puppetry Festival is held in Lida from 2nd to 9th August 1998. Bunraku is a form of a traditional Japanese puppet theater founded in Osaka in the beginning of 17th century. It is still performed in the modern day. This was a stamp that is released by the Nagano Prefecture. Of course, we call them as prefectural stamp, but no prefecture prints their own stamp. But depending on the place, location, the events, they're called as prefectural stamp. But all the stamps are made by the Japanese, centrally by the Japanese postal system. This is Japanese Nagano Prefecture stamp, released on July 17, 1998, which is also Heisei 10. It's a 50yen stamps in Saturn end, and this is one of the beautiful stamps. 97 lakh stamps are printed, and then printing in offset in 5 colors was done. Then return of Okinawa to Japan. The United States, earlier also we talked about the stamp, that is the 20th anniversary. Now that this is the 25th anniversary, the United States formally pledged today to return Okinawa this day to controversial agreement, reaffirming the continued role of the island as a pivotal American base complex in the Western Pacific Zone in June 17, 1971. Demonstrators protesting the military provisions in accordance to of the accord snake danced through the streets, while the final seal was put on the document after 18 months of negotiation separately. The document was not ratified in Japan till November 24th, 1971 by the National Diet. You can see a very, very traditional Okinawan dance of the two beautiful women who are having the very peculiar, very special hats, and then make the colorful Okinawa kimono. This was released in 1997, on November 21st, 28 by 39 millimeters, and printed in photography, 80 in face value. Then Okinawa released a second pair of stamps, that is the 50th, 20th, 25th, and 50th anniversary of Okinawa stamps. Then Okinawa released the second pair of stamp, in stamp, okay, you can see stamp, and what you see inside is the old stamp, and the stamp in stamp you can see, the stamp is valued as 80 yens, but the stamp in stamp shows you 5 cents and 5 yen, before the American occupation and the Ryukyu stamps, which have been put into this stamp and stamps, are here. And Okinawa under Japan, a regular stamp, first regular issue, first printing of face value of 5 cents released in July 1948. This is the first one. And released on April 20th, 19 as a final issue for Philatelic Week with a face value in cents. Okay, that is the cent. So these stamps that are put inside, they have also meaningful because a regular stamp, first regular issue, first printing of face value 5 cents, released in 1948. That is the first sort of pink color stamp. Another with a face value of 5 cents and released on April 20, 1972 as a final issue of the Philatelic Week with a face value of cent. These two have been taken as stamps in stamp. The first issue was released in 1948, hence the 50th year of Okinawa stamps was done on 1998, July 23rd. You see the earlier two stamps, they were one is the first stamp on the left-hand side was released 1948, the second was 1972, but this is a stamp released on the 50th year of the first stamp, that is 1998, July 23rd. Then the Satsuma pottery. The Satsuma pottery is a Japanese type of pottery to commemorate the 400th anniversary of the Satsuma Yaki. Yaki is pottery, or what we call, they burn it in the flint. That's called Yaki. Yaki pottery. Satsuma were a type of Japanese pottery originally from the Satsuma province of southern Kyushu. Today, it can be divided into two distinct categories. You can see them on the certain and pair of stamps on the left. One is original plain dark clay early Satsuma, made in Satsuma from around 16,600, and the elaborately decorated export Satsuma ivory bodied pieces, which began to be produced in 19th century in various Japanese cities. That is on the right hand side. But the 400th anniversary Satsuma Yaki pottery is based on this. 1600 was the first thing, so 400 years of that Satsuma pottery is being commemorated with these two stamps, a Saturn and horizontal Saturn and pair, and the value is 80 yens both. So the pair costs 160 yens. Now, this is a very interesting stamp. If you see the old path for Kumano, 1919, there are still unspoiled natural beauty and historical remains in the old path of Kumano. It's a pilgrimage road. In Kumano, there are three famous Shinto shrines from earliest time. Kumano, a mountainous area overlooking the sea, was believed to be the dwelling place of gods, and the Kumano shrines became popular pilgrimage site. The stamp depicts an imaginary picture of Heian period, 1794-1185. The three pilgrims are on the old path. A Furusato stamp. Furusato means your native place is called Furusato or my village sort of a thing. A stamp by the same design was once issued on 25th September 1990. This stamp was released in 1998, 8 years before. There was a very similar design stamp was there. And for this stamp, the face value is changed from 62 to 80 yens. The earlier stamp was 62 yens. Now this stamp is 80 yens. Old part of Kumano is the name of this, printed in photograph view. Now, 125th anniversary of Okinawa Postal Service. The 80 yen face value, second and third, you can see both are 80 yens, was issued for Okinawa 125th anniversary. The first stamp shows the traditional costume of Okinawa, which is different from the kimono of the mainland, loose, airy, cool, but not sloppy in appearance. The second stamp shows Warajishi, a laughing lion is generally known as shisa, which are figures of lions placed on the red tile roofs of Okinawa as charms which will drive the evil away. The 125th anniversary Okinawa Post was released on 23rd March 1999. There's two stamps, the Saturn and Pair, was two stamps, 80 yen face value, and it's a regional stamp, though printed centrally and by offset photography. Then the 25th General Assembly of the Medical Congress. From April 2nd to 5th, 1902, the first meeting of the Japanese General Medical Sciences consisted of 16 specialist medical societies, and this held in Tokyo Music School in Ueno. This has been recognized as the first meeting, and later 2nd April 1902 was as the official date of the inauguration of the association. From the third meeting, the organ's name was changed into Japanese Association for Medical Sciences. The General Assembly, called the Japanese Medical Congress, has been held regularly once in 4 years without a break. Of course, they had only one break during the Second World War. That was a break unavoidable. You can see the stamp is a very, very colorful, beautiful stamp, and it talks about the internals of the human body. And this is a regular medical congress symbol that you have. And then this is released on 1999, April 2nd, 28 by 39 commemorative stamp, photograph you printed with ordinary gram and phosphorescent paper and 80 yen face value. Then the 100 years of Japanese emigration to Bolivia. The stamp is issued to commemorate 100 years since the first immigration of Japanese to Bolivia. Shows diabolo dances. They're called as diabolo dances of the carnival in Orono Lake Titicaca, Andean Condor. The first known Japanese immigration migrants to arrive in Bolivia was in 1899, when 91 Japanese laborers entered the country from Peru to work on the rubber plantations of Bolivia. For the next several decades, several thousands of Japanese migrants immigrated to Bolivia for employment opportunities. Today, Japan gives you a lot of employable opportunities. So it is suggested the young people to learn Japanese language, to have a place in the Japanese opportunities market. 1999, June 3rd, this was released, and the commemorative stamp, photograph you with ordinary gum, of course, no watermark, and phosphorescent paper. Then we have the next stamp, which is the, wait a minute, 50th anniversary of land improvement system. The imperial government introduced the farmland distribution system combined with family registration system from China, then the advanced country in East Asia at that time, in the middle of the 7th century. The number of drastic policies were implemented under the UN occupation in order to promote Japan's democratization after it lost the war in 1945. Large landowners lost all the land, but land they could cultivate for themselves, while large number of tenant farmers turned into independent farmers. This is called as the land reform or the Nuchi Kaikaku. The Land Improvement Act came into force in 1949 and reformed in 2001. The 50th year, therefore, was celebrated in 1999. The stamp was released showing the farmlands with the demarcation and people working in the farmland. 24 by 39 millimeter stamp, 80 yen face value. Then immigration into Peru. You know, immigration, the migrants into Bolivia enter from Peru. The history of Japanese migrants and their descendants in Peru, a community that today numbers more than 1 lakh people, is one of the country's most dynamic, began 100 years ago in 1819 with the arrival of a ship carrying 790 travelers seeking to work at the coastal sugar plantations. Those initial migrants aboard Sakura Maru, they came aboard Sakura Maru, paved the way for what was been a story of success and integration with Peru's famed cuisine, having been clearly influenced by Japanese cooking methods. The Empire of Japan chose Peru as a destination for its citizens during the Meiji period 1868 to 1912, since the country was the first in Latin America to enter into diplomatic relations with the Asian nation. So 1999, May 18th was this stamp, a multicolor stamp, a photograph you stamp. ATN was released to commemorate this emigration to Peru. Then the 100 years of diplomatic relations with Greece, 1999. Greece and Japan established diplomatic relations in 1899. There has been Greek embassy in Tokyo since 1960 and a Japanese embassy in Athens since the same year, when it was decided to upgrade the Japanese consulate, which had opened in 1922 and reopened in 1956. The consulate closed during World War, of course, 1935 to 1945, 10 years is not there. The stamp depicted the Tholos, circular building, and the center of the sanctuary of Athena Coronia Memoria in Delphi. Those are the things that you see in the stamp. And you can see two stamps. 1995, they were released. 1999, June 1st, they were released. And then we have this 50th anniversary of excavation Iwajuku Paleolithic site. Iwajuku Paleolithic site is located Iwajuku near the Kiryu city in Gunma prefecture. Stone tools from the Iwajuku Kanto loom strata provided the first convincing evidence that the Japanese islands were occupied by human groups before 10,000 BC. Excavation 1949 confirmed the existence of two cultural strata, one of which contains small tools such as points and blades made in Obsidian and agate. Prior to this discovery, no Japanese Paleolithic sites have been known to exist. The tools are shown in the ATN stamp, 17 September 1999, and 50th anniversary. Incidentally, Kiryu has got a lot of memories for me because my teacher, Mr. Kumagai, comes from the Kiryu city in Gunma prefecture. Okay. Then the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the 50th year of the Declaration of Human Rights, anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, UDHR, is an international document adopted by the United Nations General Assembly, UNGA, UNGA, and establishes the rights and freedoms of all members of human race. It was accepted during the session in 10/12/1948. All the four stamps, what you see here, were selected from children's drawing on the topic Universal Declaration of Human Rights. They were not made by the Postal Department. One indicates a family, and then second is a compassionate tree, third is a person, fourth is being happy. These are the four themes on which the 50, 70, 80, and 90 and stamps were released on 1998, December 10, 28 by 37 millimeter, all the stamps, and they were all in multicolor. Then we have the next one. Is the wait a minute, let me just. The family court was established in 1949. This is the 50th year of the family court, and it's a specialized court for family affairs and juvenile delinquency cases. It has, in the first place, jurisdiction over all the disputes and conflicts among family members, as well as all related domestic affairs and legal significance. There exist two ways of solving disputes. One, by way of determination and way of conciliation. Such cases are guardianship for adults, granting permission to adopt a minor, and probate, or all disposed by the determination process called as shimpan. Such matters as dispute between husband and wife disputes among relatives, disputes relating support and those relating to partition of estate and divorce cases are all cognizable under conciliation procedure. These are the two things. This stamp has been there for the 50th anniversary, released on 16th June 1999, a 80th stamp. Okay, the design is brand statues of thing and stained glass window at the back. Then patent attorney system. The patent attorney system was established in 1899. So there's a centenary of the patent attorney system in Japan, for which this stamp was released. And then the patentee, patent attorney, and the patent office made great contributions to the Japanese industrial and economical development. The stamp, the manpower car, that's what you see in the stamp. The stamp depicts the plan of a Jidosha manpower car, which got a patent on the first day of the system on July 1st, 1899. That's why that has been used here. And the stamp was released on 1999, July 1st, 35 by 28 millimeter, and the commemorative stamp, phosphorescent paper, and photography printing, comb 13. Then 50th anniversary of community-based treatment system for offenders. To commemorate the 50th anniversary of law of prevention of crimes and rehabilitation of offenders, on which the community-based treatment system for offenders based, a stamp was issued that depicts the symbol, mark, and of primroses, the beautiful primroses that you see, of which the floral languages, hope, dawn on youthful days and sorrow. The overview of the community-based correctional services in Japan describes the drastic reorganization of the rehabilitation services for adults and juveniles, which occurred since 1949, and the basics statutes for governing these programs. Therefore, the 50th, it's in 1999, July 1st, this stamp was released, and the beautiful primroses is there on the stamp, making it really colorful. The stamp was issued to show portraits of 3 persons who drafted the codes, law codes. The law of Japan is primarily based on legal codes and statutes, and the procedures, precedents are also playing a very important role. Japan has a civil law legal system with 6 legal codes, which are greatly influenced by Germany, to a lesser extent by France, and also adopted to Japanese circumstances. The Japanese Constitution, enacted after World War II, is the supreme law in Japan. An independent judiciary has power to review laws, and the government acts for it constitutionally. This stamp was released 1999, July 19, 28 by 39. The 3 gentlemen who were behind this codifying the law, they are there on this 80th stamp. Then the copyright law was put into effect after July 1899. This is 100th anniversary of this thing. The stamp depicts the campaign characters named Kyu, Saku, and Ken. You can see three of the characters which were derived from the Chosaku Ken, Japanese word meaning copyright. Chosaku Ken. Okay, so that means Chosaku Ken means copyright. So 1999, July 20, 80th stamp. The United Nations adopted the principle of the older persons at its 46th General Assembly in 1991. International Year of the Older Person was 1999. For that, the stamp was issued. The UN principles address independence, participation, care, self-fulfillment, and dignity of older persons. Today, Japan is going through a hard time because the older generation is more in number than birth rate. So Japan is really looking for human resources from outside Japan to take care of their economical growth. A good opportunity for others. Of course, Japanese language becomes a key. The General Assembly has designated 1999 as the International Year of the Older Persons in the following year. The stamp depicts an elephant and a stork, symbolizing following generation by the latter and longevity by the former. So that's why this elephant stork are there in the thing. And this stamp is 80 yens. And then the 50th anniversary of the Central Pacific League of Professional Baseball Clubs. The images, this is a stamp which is you can peel off and just paste them. Okay, their stamps in this mini sheet are die cut perforation. 13 around the edges, the rectangle and straight cut around the outline of the motif. Therefore, you can just take it out and stick it on the thing. But normally this is not so. It is sold as a sheet, and you can of course buy it as a sheet and then use it. This is a mini sheet. 1999. It was released on October 22nd. It's a die cut. What we call as a perforation 13 die cut, and this is all self-adhesive gum. So you don't need a gum because just peel off and paste it, and phosphorescent paper, and 12 stamps of 8 yens. Therefore, when you buy, you have to buy it for 960 yens. This thing. And then we have the 50th anniversary of Science Council of Japan in 1999. Nihon Gakujutsu Kaigi. The Science Council of Japan was founded in 1949 to represent Japanese scientists. Kakujutsu Kaigi, and Nihon Kakujutsu Kaigi, the Science Council of Japan, was founded in 1949 to represent Japanese scientists, both domestically and abroad. The stamp depicts a rainbow, which symbolizes 7 departments of the organization. Literature, first is literature, philosophy, education, psychology, sociology, history. Second is law and politics. Third is economical, commercial science, business management. Fourth is science. Fifth is engineering. Sixth is agricultural. Seventh is medical science, dentistry, and pharmacy. These are the Science Council members, member departments. And this was released in 1999, October 28, 28 by 37 millimeter stamp, commemorative, 80 and the price. And then this is the 10th anniversary of imperial enthronement on 12th November 1999. Commemorate the 10th anniversary of imperial enthronement, the Ministry of Post and Telegraph issued 2 stamps. You can see the 2 stamps. And a souvenir sheet below. Here is a souvenir sheet and depict the patterns of the costumes of Kagaku, Japanese court music. Okay. And like that, we have 2. You can see 1 stamp is in the sheet. We have, and then the souvenir sheet has got both the stamps. On the sheet margins, a part of Nishiki Kacho, auspicious painting is shown. Nishiki Kacho, auspicious painting is shown on the border. The souvenir sheet depicts a phoenix and chrysanthemums, which are taken from Nishiki Kacho, a auspicious painting. And you see this phoenix bird that is there, the Chinese or the Japanese phoenix. And you can see when Japanese carry the palanquins or the mikoshis, you can see the hole sitting on top of the palanquin, which is supposed to be very auspicious. And thank you very much. That brings to the end of the thing. There's a very nice picture again taken by me in Miyajima island of Hiroshima, where the Buddhists, one particular, the warrior tribe of Buddhist monks, they come and there's a fire walk on that festival. And during they create the fire, see the old, what do you call, they write the palm leaves, the old palm leaves containing this, and then the new ones are being written. And the people walk on the fire that has been created. Even public can do that. It's a very huge preparation. This particular tribe is called the warrior monks. I think Shingon is the tribe of the monks that you see. And they always carry a chunk so that they can blow the thing. It's a beautiful festival that worth watching. Thank you all very much. And that brings us to the end.